You know,
Yes, click it. Play it. Let's do it. Just to set the frame. We're going to talk about how to be a Spartan. There you go. Just a couple minutes. Just watch this with us, and then I'm going to get going.
all right, guys. So put away all your notes, all your phones. Let's focus on this, and we talk about it today.
Bam! Then everybody that works upstairs files out of here. You guys turn on the music, turn on the machine,
Hit the phones.
and hit the frickin' system. This is gonna become a machine. This will be the heartbeat of Lightspeed. Features and how do you use them and what do they mean to customers? We've got a Facebook group, LSVT Network. Did we tell people in there? Yeah, so everything's going pretty well with this whole restructuring of the company. I've got the sales team pretty much dialed in and a leader to lead it. So that's just got to develop over time. I've got the processes laid out with Carly No Nonsense Nelson running around documenting our processes, which we've never had before.
I'm the executor of everything here, so I don't like a lot of nonsense. So now everything's starting to run smooth here at Lightspeed, and Brad wants to start an army.
Lightspeed VT Army is just, it's a movement. It's a cause. It's a movement. That's what it is. So the Lightspeed Army. There's 28 million small businesses in the United States, all of which need to do better one way or another. Can we all get better, yes or no? Okay, so they need it. And I started to think with these guys right here, if we got all 28 million people or business owners to say, yes, I want a platform, call me for a credit card. Just call me for a credit card. That's all you got to do. The team we have here would take 52 years working normal hours, 52 years to call them all and just get a credit card. So is it realistic that we're gonna get all 28 million businesses? Not at that rate. So I realized that I need a much bigger team and a team way beyond any internal team that can be created. So that's when I thought up, I need to build an army of people. We want to create a cult-like following. How do we do it is the question. Well, we've first defined a purpose, and our purpose is to demolish the evil.
So this is your quote. Some people get tanks, some get to work, some cook. Everybody contributes to the war. How can you contribute?
Jay Doran, the culture man, specializes in helping companies create and develop their culture. So Jay came out here, he's got a VT program, so of course I like to tap into knowledge. He agreed to help us kind of focus in and improve our culture, So I brought up the Army to see what he thought about it, and he was like, man, this thing's gonna be huge. This thing is exactly what you need to drive culture.
Because this is a war, good, which is light speed as an idea, evil, which is the darkness, which is the enemy, the conflict,
Poverty, average,
yes, all that.
stress and pain that everybody goes through.
There will be people that rise up and want to do this probably for their full-time livelihood, because for the general public, part-time, they could literally just share knowledge with other people and benefit culturally, meaning internally, and financially, because they'll make money with the Army. Out of maybe 1,000 people, there might be, as Heraclitus would say, give me 100 men, 80 of them are targets. 10 of them shouldn't even be here. Of the 10 that are left, 9 of them are real fighters. But one. One is a warrior. I shall find him, for he shall bring the others back. So maybe out of 1,000 people, we'll have 100 people that say, I want to work with Lightspeed full-time and make $1 million a year doing one thing. Helping people get the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it, so that everyone in the world is successful.
Yeah, but clients should feel good. So like when Cardone comes in here, that's like a 4-star general walking into the mess hall. People are like, an officer on deck, and you better get your ass up. So I might be an officer too, but that's a higher ranking officer. So if you made the employees warrant officers, all officers outrank a warrant officer, right?
That's really good.
So that's what you do. The volunteers are enlisted. The Employees are warrant officers, and the clients are officers. I had brought it up to Grant Cardone, 7-8 months earlier than actually doing it. So I want to create a Lightspeed Army, right? And then play off the Lightspeed Army. So when you sign up for it, I'm gonna give you a shirt that says Lightspeed Army, and there's gonna be a rocker arm. You're a private. You share this link out, which is an unbelievable interactive demo for my system. The first time you send out 50 links, I'm gonna make you a private first class. If the first person that buys, I'm gonna make you a corporal in the Lightspeed Army, because we're waging war against average. And I want to join everybody, and whether you're a receptionist or a Burger King flipper or they work for you, Cardone fans can be Lightspeed Army associates. The interactive demo will track, measure, and monitor it all, and for life, if that person that clicked that link first hits my system, it cookies you, you're getting paid forever on the deal. Now, a private first class gets 3%. Corporal gets 4%. Sergeant gets 5%. So the more general gets. That's what I'm talking about. Back when I told Grant Cardone about it, my intention was to kind of build an army that we could both use to blow up and scale our businesses. Because if you think about it, once we've created this massive army of people, they could pretty much represent any product. And then I started thinking, I could show anyone how to start an army, and I've already got the template to do so. Welcome to the official training center for the LSVT Army. Consider it Central Command, if you will. This is where we'll train and educate you on everything you need to know to go out and not only build yourself a nice little residual business, but help make the world a better place. Now, obviously, the pace you go
Aubrey,
is entirely up to you.
you can pause it. It's very good, so I want to keep watching. But the reason that I'm showing everyone this today is the premise of this talk, which is going to be interactive because of the time that we have. Get to the core of your business by inspecting who you are. I was hired by that individual in that company to help create the stories, symbolism, language, and idea of which the employees of the organization would get behind. To inspire them to come to work in purpose and learn to develop themselves through the actual place that they work in. The idea of the Army, think of it how it relates to a realtor. Every day you put on your uniform, you go to your work, your place of business, and you're going to battle every day with the intent to listen to understand your customers, to learn their story, learn their problem, and hopefully solve it. Is everyone here a realtor? Do you believe in or here to learn how to be a realtor? Do you believe that you know potentially or should know more than any person that needs to buy or sell a home? Do you believe that? Yes? That comes down to the information that you invest time, money, and energy to learn. So the point of this talk is get to the core of your business by developing who you are and by inspecting who you are and developing who you can be by inspecting who you are. So I want to tell you a story of a guy that I met recently because I took time to interview them, to listen to understand, not to reply, to learn about who they actually are that makes them and their business successful. And their business is successful. Why? Because it solves problems every day for its customers and its employees. So this individual went originally into the workforce, had not, I guess, the intention or the premonition that one day he'd own a business. This individual wanted to get a job. And he actually signed up for the Marines and got involved into fighting every single day for our country. In the midst of having the vision at the time of who this person was, in the midst of them thinking that one day they'd graduate from the Marines and get a job like everyone else, they had a mentor that told them or inspired them through their actions, oh, haven't you ever thought of being your own business? And this individual, rather than just saying what to do, did it themselves, which inspired this individual to have a little different thought than they normally had. But it wasn't until years later, after the Marines, after they worked 9 to 5 to work and build someone else's dream, that they end up having opportunity in an industry that they weren't familiar with. In a time that could have been the worst time ever to have a sales job where they had to make their own money. Has anyone else been there before? I have. Real estate is that. And through this opportunity, they persevered. They did very well. However, they were still building someone else's dream. And through fear, they even proposed an opportunity that they could potentially go into business with this employer. But that wasn't an option. That option was taken off the table. So this individual started his own business. This individual's in the room. Corwin Jackson.
Thanks, dude.
Core Inspection Group. I learned that from you when I interviewed you. And I listened to understand. I learned that you were afraid to start your business, like we all have been. Like I was a couple years ago, before that opportunity that I just showed you, that I created, because the things I'm going to show you, what you can do today with social media, and really if you're looking in the mirror of yourself, what you can do to be better, for that opportunity to present itself. I learned that from you when I interviewed you, and you got to the core of who you were when you had to look in the mirror, and yet again learn from a mentor, which was your brother. You would inspect yourself. How am I going to do this? And this is your words, not mine. A month before I started my business, I didn't know how I was going to pull this off. And the lesson that I learned, listening, understand through Corwin Jackson when I interviewed him, Core Inspection Group, was that continuously he sought out mentors and read books and took responsibility and looked in the mirror and got uncomfortable to consistently let go of the fear of holding on to his business because he could do it better than anyone. Which is what happens not only to Corwin, not only to me, not only to anyone that might be thinking this has happened to them, but even Grant and Brad and all of the people that we look up to, all of the mentors, and the mentors that we become when we become mentors, when we have children, we all go through the same fear. So to get to the core of the matter, what is specifically stopping us? Because it isn't just, and I like this, Joe Rogan said this, it's not just woo. It doesn't have to be woo in the sense of, it's just motivation. What are the specific things that we have to do to become better, to get to the core of why we're not doing what we can do to overcome our fears, overcome our discomfort? One thing that I decided that does work was to listen to other people. I just took a different approach. I turned that camera on. Can we pull up the video again really quick? Mm-hmm. I turned that camera on and I sat down. What's your name? Maria. Brianna. I'd sit down with Brianna. And I wouldn't have a contrived script in front of me of what I wanted to ask so I could get a scripted answer from you in an interview. You or anyone, Brianna, right? Yeah. I invested some time on maybe LinkedIn, or if they had a Wikipedia, or some form of Facebook, Instagram, to figure out a little bit about the person so that we could sit down and have a conversation. And this is the crazy, you want secret woo sauce? When you ask someone a question and they give you an answer, you may have had in your head, you have question number 1 and question number 2. When they give you an answer, you don't just ask question number 2. Because it's easy to ask what you already selfishly want to know and not listen to understand. It's easy to do that. It's easy to go into a conversation and have your listing presentation of all the questions that, number 1, yes, do you need to know certain information? Yes. if you're so focused on asking only the questions because you haven't prepared before by really internalizing the questions, if you're so focused on what you're asking, how are you listening to someone? See, that specific idea of when I ask the question and they answer it, I'm not going to ask this question. I'm going to ask a new question based on what they didn't say, but I felt because I listened. So, for example, what school did you go to? High school?
Cyber charter school.
Cyber charter school. When you're at cyber charter school, what's the last thing that you thought about when you graduated?
What am I going to do afterwards?
So for the first 30 days, what did you do?
I was working.
You were working.
I was working to get to a better job.
So from 1 being absolutely excruciatingly painful to 10 being extraordinary, tell me about that job. Was it a 1 or a 10 or in the middle?
It was like a 5.
5. We're having a conversation. And then it's like simple. I can't ask the next questions because you're going to answer, and then I'm going to ask it, and then you're going to answer. I can't ask those questions unless I actually listen. Now, this is the catch. You got to get to the core of your business by inspecting who you are to develop who you can be. Who are you? Do you actually care about other people? Now, we could say we do. We build our business by caring about other people. Okay. Now, stop lying to yourself because we have children we care about and our DNA is in them. We're programmed to selfishly care, and that doesn't need to be a bad thing. What's bad is when we're not aware of why we do care. What's bad is when we go into a presentation with a client and we have 20 questions that we need to ask to sell them, and we don't listen to understand, not to apply. So something specifically I invested in doing 2 years ago was interviewing people first to listen to understand, not to apply. I got the camera, and this is the breakdown of it. Number 1, you're going to listen by asking a question, they answer it, and your next question is not your preordained question. It's the question that you genuinely care to ask because you're interested in who they are and where they are and what's going on with them. When you do that, your counterpart, and believe it or not, you can use this for dating, for marriage, for children, for listing presentations, for phone calls. When the other person talks and tells the truth, because this is where they're at, you don't need to make them wrong because that's where they're at. You can listen to understand, not to reply. And the beauty of that is what happens here is empathy. When I ask a question and you answer, and I listened to not so much what you said, but what it meant, and I asked the next question based on what would make sense, you really have to listen to do this with other people. You really have to genuinely let go of your selfish desires to take and trust that it'll work out. A bridge of trust will occur, and guess what? Now when you talk, whether they cared or not before, they will. More likely. According to statistics, 3% of the population is sociopaths, so 97% of the time, it's going to work. If you had a 97% success rate on your phone calls or on your listing presentations or on your buyer consults, would that be something you want to learn? Yes? By getting to the core of what business is, which we're about to talk about, and inspecting who you are so you can develop who you'll become. The interviews have completely changed my life. It was no coincidence that interviewing people of all walks of life, 136 people now in less than 2 years, extra. This was not a business strategy. And putting out the clips of real conversations led me to the person that put me in that room, in that meeting that I wasn't supposed to be in, so that I could do what I knew best, which was the culture conversation, which, why would anyone believe me? Why should I understand how to create ideas, how to tell stories, how to create symbolism in an why would I know that? Well, Brianna, why would you know how to sell a $10 million house? The answer to that comes down to the individual taking responsibility to learn two things. Hard skills. You can write this down. This is everything you need to know about the actual industry of real estate. The market, the zip codes, expireds, what's for sale, inventory, right? Like expired versus active versus what's on the market, or active versus what didn't sell. Understanding actually how to price a home. You follow me? All the things that you have to learn, the hard skills, is here. If you know all of this, I want you to keep this in mind. Albert Einstein couldn't get a job for 9 years and was selling door-to-door insurance. He had all the hard skills. No one believed in his equations. The soft skills in 2020, because 2019 is already over. No. These are the human skills. This goes back to this paper right here. Listening for an actual truth of what someone's saying. That is a practiced habit. Genuinely caring. Because you've practiced to shut up. I could never shut up. I only spoke to hear myself talk. Interviewing other people, just listening to other people, could calm down. And now when I'm here, in a position where I am asked to speak, I'm doing it for others, not for myself. I'm doing it through my pain, not for it, so you can't see me. Anyone can learn this. This bridge of empathy, this is the catch though. Going back to the hard skills. Interviewing over 50 owners, team leaders, mega realtors, and operating principals, over 50 out of the 136 people I interviewed, 50 of them, $4 billion a year in annual real estate sales. One thing that I learned from all these people, all these owners of real estate, this is one of the most undervalued words with no meaning due to the fact that we don't learn anything growing up. We are indoctrinated to memorize, not inspired to provoke thought. One thing that I did learn interviewing individuals have done really well. Use Corwin, for example. Always listen to his older brothers who put that in his head. Why don't you think differently? We talked about the E-myth in our interview. We talked about, great book, The 7 Highly Effective Habits of Successful People. We talked about a few other pieces of literature, outliers. Interviewing all these people that have achieved the goals that they had when they started, whether it was 2 years in the business or 30 years in the business. Example, Mike McCann, every single weekend or always learning about other markets. So what would I want to do? Learn about other markets to understand it affects this market. When we listen to understand, not to reply, when we can have conversations with people, because we genuinely want to know where Brianna went to school, what it was like after school, what the 1 to 10, how awful was the first job versus how great it was. What were some of the things that you did that led you here? What were some of the things that you did that you would love to reflect upon to learn from? If I ask those questions and genuinely care, I'll learn from you. If we do not constantly all learn from each other, and then I sit down and someone else goes up, our species dies. If you want to talk big picture, investing time to learn the market and learn the business, these hard skills, coupled with these soft skills, these human skills of listening, understand, not to reply, of learning about yourself. And now this is the caveat. I guess this is the point of the talk. Social media is only a tool to display who you are and who you're developing yourself to be. That's it. It's only a tool. My argument is this. If your intent is to hide who you are on social media because you don't know what you don't know, how can you get to the core of your business if your business starts with your vision of solving your customer's problem? How can you get to the core of it? How can you inspect who you are and really learn about yourself so you can be the best broker possible for your clients? From a tangible standpoint, I learned in our interview together that 66%, because I was listening, of homes that don't get an inspection prior to the sale have serious issues. Now, if you're a realtor and you're building a business based on referrals, based on your brand, you're in it for the long term, my question would be, if I don't bring that 66% down to 0%, could that affect my relationships with my buyer clients in the future? Yes or no? Yes. I didn't know that because I never asked until we had that interview. Now, does this mean we all gallivant around doing interviews and filming videos and not sell real estate? No! I was such a loud bombast, meaning, extrovertedly insecure human who needed the world to look at me, that I had to literally buy cameras to put there so I would shut up. So my advice would be, take from that pain and think, am I listening to other people? Now, the tangible utility of learning about your business, that's not going to happen in one talk. This is just to help you think a little differently. This will happen over time, learning about the business. Learning about yourself by listening to your customers, listening to your collaborators. My argument about social media is this. When you use it to empathetically educate the marketplace, when you put out videos, so you can write this down, the 3 E's, I call it. If you're going to film a video, for example, if you think, how can I use empathy? How can I educate? So therefore it's entertaining to my audience. Empathy comes from telling a personal story or using some kind of personal example. Education comes from that personal story that you share, and this could be on video or just in general conversation. That personal story that you share, it drives home the point of what you're talking about on that piece of content. And therefore, that says entertaining. It looks like just blah, blah, blah. You will build your audience. If you're not getting to the core of your business, which is you, Brianna. Let's pick up Brianna. Aubrey. Getting to the core of your business, which is you. How you operate in the world with your clients, what you know of how to solve their problem. Look in the mirror, take responsibility, and inspect how well am I learning every day? How well am I treating people? When you use social media, you're not going to be developing yourself through it. You can easily hide who you are to the world. That's my point. You can hide who you are. However, if you start using it, you have clients, you have past clients. Hey, you're getting comfortable at just being yourself online. You can now help them get comfortable. Like, we just got a camera and I ask you a few questions, you just say it. I'm conditioned to listen and ask like a person. So then we can be people together online. And now it's real. And this is the best part. You will get people unfriending you and unfollowing you every day because they're not your people. And that's okay. We're not all each other's people. So I'll end with, because of time, 30 days of thought. Where is it? Here it is. I'm going to read the back of this, and I'll explain and what the heck this is. Many people talk of life experience and describe it as the past, present, and lessons derived so the future may be clearly foretold. Their next move entails pigeonholing another into a perfectly shaped box that is easily understood. The world is made up of a lot of people like this, but not Jay Doran, born July 9th, 1991 in Newark, New Jersey. From his mother, Linda, a schizophrenic, manic, bipolar, drug addict, alcoholic. Jay was left at a police station at 3 months old and later adopted into a culture he never accepted. He moved homes 29 times in 27 years. Never obtained a high school diploma or GED, yet he has run his own businesses successfully since the age of 21. Jay spends most of his time running his businesses and Culture Matters, reading academic texts, writing in his next books, and speaking at companies on corporate events on corporate culture. Jay Doran is the true culture man because his journey has made him that way. Enjoy peeking inside his mind. I'm reading you this paragraph because it is the only thing about me in this entire 47,000 word book that I wrote every letter. There's no ghostwriter. I read this to you because this is the only thing about me in this whole book. And this whole book is just an amalgam of thoughts that I had struggling through building this company that no one would care of, because why would they? That's my responsibility to make it matter. Right? If I'm the agent, it's my responsibility to make someone care. That could be my client. This entire book, short one-page essays, not to read to memorize what I have to say, but to read to then write down your thoughts in the book. So that in the book, it actually shows you exactly how to film 1-minute videos that are empathetic and educational to build the audience that deserves you because you're being you. This was not a preordained strategy to market the world. it was put together because I was more of an ass before I started writing to develop, reading to think, and speaking to let go. There's just tools, there's exercise in here to get to the core of who you are, to inspect who you are. And I say core of who you are because the business that you own is you. You are your business. We are our own business. We are our personalities. We are our brands. So I read to think, I wrote to develop. Scary, scary place. And putting videos out helped build the company. So I hope this helps you get to the core of what your business is today, who you are. You can reflect on some of this. And that 30 Days of Thought helps you. And I appreciate Avi for inviting me here today. And Corwin Jackson for everything that he's done and part of this talk. And this is all happening because of Avi Cohen and Core Inspection Group. And I really appreciate you guys' time. I know we ran a little longer, but yeah, sure. You have a question?
How do you usually approach people to interview them?
It's a great, okay, so let me break that down. In the beginning, because the intent is totally to learn, and because almost everything that I would do in the world is based on wanting people to love me, I basically would ask anybody in their mind, like, help me, let me interview you. Period. That's the answer. Right, like, Bob, So, people from all different walks of life. The intent was not, this is something people can do, so I'm hoping I'm answering your question. I want to give you the whole answer. When you interview people that are very successful in their craft, you will learn a lot. You will, if you do a good job, you'll build a friend that may last forever. And I will say, how I picked people in the beginning was I would interview anybody on the street, and that turned into interviewing some titans of the industry, and then it turned into a whole, the waiting list that you could never imagine. And so what I would recommend, if you're a realtor in the business, interview in short clips people in your life that you work with and your clients. And that's where the testimonials will flow. And really, you'll grow through it. And you'll deserve opportunities. I know in my heart, the reason I've become so good at it is because the intent was not to take from anybody. Because I've been doing it my whole life. So I hope that answered your question.
How do you approach?
Go back. I did 300 videos of me just talking in front of the camera. This is a whole nother talk, but in front of the camera, which got me comfortable by like the 70th one. And I was in a very serious car accident that actually, you were after that? Yeah, okay. When that occurred, what got me through it was the feedback positively when I did a video about the accident. And it made me think, I must quit on the company. Long before all this, I said, I have to help other people do this. Get comfortable on the camera. So it switched to interview. And it was like a blessing in disguise. So how I would recommend anyone doing is, first, you just need to, remember, the interview is just a medium to listen to other people. You want to be smart with your business. Capture it with people that you could bring value together, like your past clients, like people you collaborate with, Avi, your teammates, your past clients. And the point is, use your social media as a tool to grow through it. And before you know it, who you see in the mirror is someone that you could sleep at night saying, I'm happy with who I am. That would be my short answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
Cole, you want to introduce yourself?
I was just going to say really quick, I know the pizza's waiting, we're getting ready to
Are you
go
gonna get
eat,
food?
but, so I bumped into Jay many years ago, probably 4 or 3 years ago at this point, and I knew immediately talking to him that there were some synergies there, but I didn't reach out to him right away, I kind of waited. I don't want you guys to make that mistake. If there's someone that you guys know that you're connected with, a mentor, a coach, a friend, Jay is changing the way that I do business. He's helping me push the bar forward. He's changing some things in my personal life. I really should have reached out to him right away. So if you guys have that person, that mentor, that person that you know you need to connect to, don't be like, reach out to that person right away, because you guys never know the immediate impact that they're going to have on your life. Right? That's it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, like when the market crashed, you know, and we fought back in 2008, and I'm doing this in real estate since 2005, and the market was on a high alert, and everything was sold before you even sell it. You put the house on the market, and you got 15 offers, and then the market crashed. Then I said, okay, what I'm going to do, I love real estate, and then I moved from the suburb to the city, and I started rentals that I never touched. For me, it's only rentals. And how I start with a small house in South Philly, on Wingle. Something that I would never touch before. But I dare myself to walk there and experience that experience to myself. And that house brought me to another house, to another house. Now we have 100 houses all over the city. That brings us back to sales, to wholesale, to 45 agents, to people like Jay, like Cole. That little house, because the market was dead back then, and I brought myself to try something new that I never tried. And that bring me to meet people like Mike Keller, John Federman, Jay Doran, Goa, Ben Adam, all those people that I met because I dared to do something that I didn't want to do before. That's the idea. If you don't dare, you will never succeed. If you don't dream big, you will never dream at all. So that's the idea.
Thank you guys. I know we went longer, but thanks for listening.